I just had a aha moment, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't sacrifice my own happiness and health and wellness and then that of my family. Nobody was happy. But it's one of those things that until you're ready, like, nobody can tell you to do it. This isn't serving me anymore. I've literally done everything I can do, and I'm gonna leave on my own terms. I realized how much more I was writing down my to-do list too and getting more accomplished.
There is something weird about just writing something down.
Yeah, and I literally was like calling bullshit. I was like, no, I've never worked like that. But then I realized I was like, it does though, because it's like when I write it down, it's like the memory of writing it down, knowing where it is.
You're taking the time. And
yeah,
if you have that visual recall of it too, you're like, okay, what was that? And like close your eyes, you can think about it like, okay, there you go.
I mean, I can't remember what I did yesterday, but so it's helpful. Yeah.
Nice. The curse of an entrepreneur is I can look at whatever it is, and like if it's a problem, I can solve it and I can turn it into gold. Mm-hmm. That's like my delusion that I live 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What up? It's Fred Ray, the guy who started Rain City Capital back in 2009 when private lending wasn't exactly the cool kid on the block. Welcome to Good Nuggets, a podcast that's as much about the failures and holy shit moments as it is about the wins. Here's the deal. I watch people go from nearly walking out of the door to becoming absolute powerhouses in this business. We'll get into the weeds with loan officers, talk strategy with fellow lenders, and swap war stories with entrepreneurs who have been there. No fluff, no corporate BS, just authentic conversations and practical takeaways you can actually use. So grab whatever you're drinking, get comfortable, and let's get after some good nuggets.
All right, y'all. Welcome, Good Nuggets. I got sales rock star extraordinaire, Jill Beattie. Hi, Jill.
Hi.
How's it going?
Just swell.
Welcome. Are you happy to be in Seattle, or are you not happy to be in Seattle?
Yeah, it's a good change of pace. It's already hot in Austin, so.
All right, so we're here. We're here to talk about you, ask you a bunch of questions. So hope you're ready for it. Thank you for coming and joining. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I would start out with, I guess, tell me about your journey getting into Rain City. I don't necessarily need to go like into your childhood. I don't need to necessarily know about, like anything that's crazy in the past, but like professional career and up and getting to Rain City. Can you like kind of give us a little bit of background on you?
Yeah.
And how long you've been in Rain City and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just starting from the top, because I feel like it's more relevant. I've been with Rain City for almost 3 years now.
Holy shit, really?
In June. Yeah, which is wild. And I came on after probably a year of Ian putting a bug in my ear saying, I think you'd be good at this. You should come do this. And full disclosure, I was like, that sounds awful. It's not something I want to do.
Well, you kind of had like a pretty good gig, didn't you?
I did.
Beforehand?
Yeah, and it was the majority of my career. So with that, that's why I was in a place that in my career where I felt like I couldn't do much more, or I didn't want to do more and sacrifice just my personal life. So it had a lot to do with my family, and just like my own mental and physical health and all the above. So
what were you doing?
I was in commercial real estate. I worked primarily in brokerage, but then most of my career ended up being in building out the like corporate office spaces for clients around the country. The most recent was actually Amazon, which brought me here quite a bit, which that's the ironic kind of
like the weird connection.
The weird connection. So I was here a lot, and I was all over the Southeast as I built out office spaces for them. And I was, a senior person, traveled everywhere. It just got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, being on an airplane all the time, being away from your family. Yeah.
Triple booked every day, trying to get my assistants in meetings for me. And I was just like, I'm not even providing value. I'm literally just cleaning up, more so like the mistakes of others. And it was exhausting, and I didn't want to be in that. I wanted to be more valued in a better role. So I went to Africa in April of 2022, and I just had a aha moment, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't sacrifice my own happiness and health and wellness, and then that of my family, nobody was happy. But it's one of those things that until you're ready, like nobody can tell you to do it until you're ready and realize it. And I just couldn't, I had that aha moment, like, this isn't serving me anymore. I've literally done everything I can do, and I'm going to leave on my own terms instead of having that behavioral component where you just want somebody to like fire you instead of quit.
Yeah, getting pushed out or like hoping,
and so I was like, no,
fired or whatever.
But so I left on good terms. I mean, I still have people that I keep in contact that are like, you want to get back in? And so I don't, but I know it's, you know, it just feels good that it's still, I'm still like my name's still passed around and stuff like that in the industry. But moral of the story is I love real estate. I wanted to get into my own real estate ventures from like a residential standpoint privately and just our own investment portfolio and start that, but I just didn't know how. And so I just kind of
then you got Ian that's
right
chirping at you all the time.
Ian is like the glass is always half full, which I love and appreciate, but you just have to weed that out. But basically I got in at the worst possible time.
It was a tough time.
And then I got into this job at the same time. Mm-hmm. But I think because of that, it supported both ventures. It made me better at this a little bit quicker because I was learning on both sides. And then I also feel like it gave me a whole different perspective for just investing in general and just kind of what I would do moving forward. But what I like and like.
Yeah, I mean, you were like spending time with, you know, a bunch of like rich company or like Fortune 100 or whatever companies, and they're just, you know, moving stuff around, doing these big old projects, and then you're like, holy crap, you know, people are out here flipping houses and doing these projects for 50 grand and hopefully making money and all that fun stuff.
Well, that perspective was different because everybody's like, oh, you probably are really good at this because you were doing this, you know, I was around design and construction all the time. I ran budget schedules, all the things. And I was like, it's completely different. It must not even, like, it shouldn't even be called, both of them shouldn't be called real estate.
Yeah.
Because they are night and day. Commercial versus residential is completely different.
For sure.
So it was a learning curve. There were some things, obviously, like just construction overall in general, how to build a budget and schedule, line items, all that kind of stuff obviously transferred.
Yeah, project management in general.
And project management.
Like, hey, how to get through stuff. And
yeah,
that makes sense.
But
there's some things that translated, but
yeah.
Well, and so someone coming in absolutely cold, you know, the first year, what was that like?
It was tough, especially because I get reminded by those in that year that it was one of the toughest years to come in.
Yeah, April of 22. Holy shit. That was, I remember in April of 22, I sold like $20 million worth of loans to a group in the beginning of April. And their buy rate was like 6%. The next trade that we did, it was like the same dollar amount at the end of April was 8.25%. I was like, what are you guys doing? So yeah, definitely a crazy time right when interest rates
rates
started
were amazing.
To, like, spike.
We were doing like 7.99 or something like that with rates, and but I was just starting out, and so I was just trying to build my book. So most everybody I was going after were first time borrowers, and then I think September we cut off first time borrowers.
Yeah, I think so.
Cold turkey for I don't remember how long, but that's when I was like
4, 5, 6 months. It was wild.
So very very devastating. But then I just kept on. I mean, it took a lot longer than normal, but I also kept telling myself, because I'm a competitive person by nature, I feel like a lot of people are in this role, but I also took it to have more of my life back a little bit, to be happier, to have more flexibility, to be there for my family, and I just kept telling myself that. I'm like, I'm not going to burn the oil on both ends anymore. If it takes a little bit more time, it takes a little bit more time, but I was also upfront and honest with, I think you, but also Ian for sure. I was like, I don't know what the expectation is, but I'm definitely not going to go from that lifestyle and jump into that same lifestyle again.
Yeah.
So I just had to keep that in mind.
I remember driving with you one time, actually, when we went to the auction, and you were like, this close to quitting? I don't remember when that was. That was probably like right around a year.
Yeah. It was, I think it was right before a year, but yeah. It was because it sucked. I mean, it did.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I'm just like, it was used to, and I know a lot of people come into it, but it was like, nothing I'd ever done has taken that much ramp up before. And
used to having a little bit faster success.
Yeah. 3 months was always my timeline of like, it takes me 3 months to get it. If I don't get it by then, which has never happened from a career standpoint, but like, you know what I mean? Like, things just start rolling and clicking, and then you're like, got it. But like, from a knowledge standpoint, it did. But like, this industry, I think what keeps me interested in it, what keeps me going, is that every day is different. Every conversation is different. Every deal is different. So it keeps you on your toes. So it's not the same mundane.
Yeah, it's not super repetitive. That's for sure. Well, I'm sure you got like the clients that you love, and then the clients you're like, maybe you don't necessarily love them that much, and like everybody in between. Yeah,
it's taken a minute for the ones, I have a really good group of people now, but you're always going to get, I don't think you can cuss on this, can you? Yeah.
But, you can cuss on this.
You're always,
fuck yeah, you can.
You're always going to get the asshole that just comes in and just thinks they know more than you and tries to talk you out of everything and wants everything 100% and says you don't know what you're talking about. They'll take our business elsewhere. You're missing out on a great opportunity, whatever. And it's just like, okay, go fly a kite. I don't know you from Adam.
Yeah, that is not real nasty mutual success, bro.
No. And so, yeah. So it's interesting because, you want things to work, and especially with like the shiny penny, you're just like, this would be amazing if I could land all this. But then you're like, there's a reason why you've probably been fired from a lot of people, because if you treat people like this. So, yeah.
Fun times. Mm-hmm. So first year in the business, really rough. Mm-hmm. And then you're almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. You said it was April. Holy crap. That's so crazy.
No.
You said it was April. Is it April or May?
May. Okay. I went to Africa in April.
Got it. There you go.
May.
So
yeah.
In May it'll be 3 years. I guess, what do you think was the fulcrum or the transition point for you? Was there like a point in time where you're like, oh yeah, this is it? Like, oh yeah, this is starting to happen. Like, I guess.
Yeah, it was February. Honestly, it didn't really, I started picking up a little more regular where I was at least hitting, I mean, this sounds wild now, but I started hitting at least $1 million a month. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, at least I fid like I'm paying for myself. You know what I mean? It was just like a little less guilty and whatnot towards, I would say towards mid 23 to end of 23. Mm-hmm. And then I had the absolute most garbage month in December. I think I closed like one loan, and I was like, I hate this. This is not going to happen. And then in January it started picking up, but then really February it like just popped off. And I think it was certain things that were in the works for a long time, certain relationships that were being worked on, but then it just like, honestly, it just all fell at the same time.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, now I'm starting to work again. Now, like, you go from grind in one way, grind to another way.
Yeah.
It's so kind of crazy. And it doesn't happen for everybody, but it seems to me there's like this, some people, they just have some early success and then they kind of like bump around, but really around a year is when they're like, they turn it around. Mm-hmm. And I mean, your story is very similar, and I'm just sitting here realizing that like that really kind of is like the first year is just build, and then like you're as you build and like plant the seeds, you finally like get the crops of those things a year later, which is kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, and I think for everybody it's different, because like I'll talk to Alex and he'll be like, you want to sell loans, hit the phones, and like I remember him telling us that on like one of the sales retreats, and I was like, okay. But then like, Lisa does so much other stuff as far as like, the classes she teaches and some of the, panels she's on and podcasts and all this other stuff. And it's awesome because she's, lights out all the time. And then same with Julian, like he's found different niches in different parts of his life. And I think for me, I just was like, I really just want to stick and focus on Tennessee. Since that market, like coming in, that was like what I know Ian and I discussed, but then also it's like it was kind of like my home away from home growing up, just because I was from Kentucky originally. So it was like right there. I knew some people, and then slowly just started being consistent and going back there. And now, I mean, the classes I teach and the referrals I get, it's just,
it's working.
Remember the last time I made a cold call there, which is great. Like,
that's awesome.
But I should do that too.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I just gotta keep the fresh ones coming in, right?
But it's been good.
So you glad you didn't quit?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I am. I mean, I can't say every day is like, rainbows and roses and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's given me back what I wanted the most, which was, my health and like my mental sanity, my time back to be like a mom. Like I can leave if, something comes up with my kids, or like just happened the other day. I wasn't able to ever go on field trips or anything like that with my last job. And this time I was like, I get to, take that break, come back, still, work and section off my calendar, but manage it appropriately versus
didn't fall apart. Like,
just trying to get everything in, in that time frame. So that flexibility is what I needed. I cannot, my brain just does not function in like the set 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, or in my case, it was like 7 to 7 a lot of times because of I had East Coast and West Coast clients.
Yeah, so you're just like always on.
Yeah, so.
Ugh. That's crazy. That's kind of similar to Lisa's story too. Like Lisa, she was in a successful career real estate, but she didn't have her weekends. So she was just stuck all the time. And, she was a control freak and all that other stuff. Like she wasn't willing to let go. But yeah, it's like similar kind of story. She's like, dude, I just want more time.
Yeah. Time is so valuable.
Yeah. You've been at Rain City for 3 years. What's your favorite part of Rain City?
I would say the people, for sure.
Yeah? Is it the people or the culture?
Probably both.
Maybe a little bit of both?
Yeah. Because, I mean, not like you're not gonna vibe and love every single person in any type of organization that you're in.
I love everybody.
I don't think so. Really, if you're being honest with yourself.
Maybe except for Alex.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think it's just the way you can just feel the comfort level of everyone, which I guess is the culture too, as everybody feels like they can be themselves, without, putting on the corporate hat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think this many people that are coming into it and how much you're growing it, which is awesome, it can sometimes, maybe need to get more corporate, but I feel like every time it has or felt like it has or might be getting too big, it's like you guys kind of step in and scale it back down, like, hey, no, we're not being too serious, or here's what we're doing or whatnot. So because we're all different personalities, we're all in different seats, so to have it scalable for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was funny. Like,
cool.
I've never seen Tu's never been excited to see me. She's never been like, oh my gosh. And Tu is our controller, mind you. So like,
and she doesn't have the personality of a controller.
Yeah, she's the coolest controller I've ever met.
She is.
So you walk in and she's like, I'm like, how often is a controller like all giddy and excited to see a salesperson? Like, probably
from
not that
Texas.
often. Yeah, exactly. Like, how the fuck? But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I want to it's important to get people together as much as we can and spend time together and, bump against each other and learn who each other are and whatnot.
Yeah.
We have a lot of new people coming up and I'm super excited for the party. I said I wasn't, but I actually am. I just want to be contrarian for a little bit and see what they thought. They're like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, it's going to be super fun. I like it. But I do worry. That's like my number one worry is just keeping the culture. Like I don't want to be the like corporate massive whatever. That's just kind of lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's up to everybody, right? Everybody's got to be their own little part and piece of it. Like, the fact that you and Tu are hanging out, I didn't even know you guys knew each other.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. Actually, it was because of a party like this. It was like one of the first years, and we just like started chatting about the most random stuff. And we're both moms, and we both like, you know, we're joking about like that and our husbands and just lives in general. But yeah, no, it's just, you can relate to people that you didn't even know about because you only have so much time with them during the day on like meetings or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so, and I never talked to, I mean, we don't have, except for if there's some sort of like, you know,
random accounting thing with like a borrower, which doesn't happen that often. So it's cool to like talk to people that you won't normally interact with and stuff and find commonalities at the big group functions. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I was like, what the? Damn, what am I, chopped liver? She's like, nah, fuck you. Get out of here. See you later.
They said she's so fun. Yeah.
She's awesome. I love to. She's got a promotion.
I know. I told her congratulations. That was the first thing I said.
That's awesome.
When I walked in there. But yeah, so it's that, and it's hard. I've seen it. I've worked for like several companies, and I feel like it's hard not to, when you're such a large company, to not, you know, have these more corporate mindsets or corporate like that feeling.
Yeah. If there's like one mission that I have, it's 100% just to keep the culture.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do as much as I can to make that so. And how and why and what, I have no idea, but it's like, it's always top of mind.
Well, I mean, selfishly, it has to do with like the accessibility for like, at least for me, to you and stuff like that, and to other people in the organization. I mean, I know you know, you're always on the calls with everybody, engaging and stuff like that. So people feel like you're accessible and you're available. And then, you know, I talk to you more than that during the week just because of other meetings, but like, it just makes it feel so common and everyday, and there's no expectation to upset the boss. Or actually, Alex would probably say it's probably his goal, like, how can I piss off Fred today? But, you know.
He's like, yeah, fuck Fred. I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, right. Let's see what happens. The fuck Fred thing. That's hilarious. That was like said every single day when I first started. I was like, what?
You're like, hold on a second. Like, whoa. Yeah.
I know. But just, yeah. And people can take that, you know, it's just like.
It's jarring for people not knowing what's going on. But once they're in, they're like, okay, everything's cool. They're not actually mad at each other. They're just having fun.
For sure. For sure.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've been a part of the coaching stuff. You have an LOA. I guess, how is that? Has that helped you? Like, honestly, I'm looking for honest feedback because obviously it's something that I care about, and I'm definitely spending a lot more time on. But, you know, how's it impacted you, and do you have any feedback for me?
It has impacted me so much more than I thought it would, in a positive way. I think a lot of it had to do with the coaching, and the most pivotal book I read at the time, because it was like very much when she was coming on, was Buy Back My Time.
Buy Back Your Time.
Buy Back Your Time. Sorry.
I got it, Dan. You're good.
Sorry. Okay. Anyways, you know what I was talking about.
Yep.
And it kind of level sets your expectations, but also calls you out on things that you absolutely do, and you're like, I can't do that. That's going to be toxic if I do that, you know, or just keeping the 80-20 rule. That's like the one that I keep in the back of my head a lot and have to remind myself of, because it's just, yeah, it's hard to see it until you see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So keeping that in the back of my head and just living that philosophy and prioritizing my calls versus trying to get deep in the weeds in a file or my emails or a problem, because I love problem solving. I love figuring stuff out, but I need to project that in other ways, right? Like with borrowers and figuring out deals and stuff like that, versus
being the hero and figuring it out because you know how to do it, versus actually like.
Yes, that hero. That's a great way to describe it, because it's almost like sometimes you have bad days and you kind of need that to pick you up. So I still do it every now and then, but
it's the competitive nature. At least for me, it's competitive nature, because I'm like, I came in, I fixed someone else's problem. That's a win. I win.
Yes.
Like it's the quick win.
Yes.
You know, it's
100%.
like for the task oriented people that like they have the check, you know, the to-do list and they get to mark that check. It's kind of the same thing, but for competitive people, it's like, I gotta just go and fucking win.
Yeah. You just need to win.
Yeah.
And every now and then I give myself a little bit of like leeway to do that if I need it. But at the same time, I feel like my LOA now is at the point where she's like, no, I got it. I got it. You go do your calls, go do your meetings or whatnot. But I mean, I can always do things differently and get better. I feel like as a manager of sorts and streamline things. But I will say that the biggest impact has been to my time and stress level. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night as often and saying, oh my gosh, was that taken care of? Because I know it was, or I, didn't even have to worry about it, or the best is going on vacation and having just loans fun left and right, and you don't even.
And you're like, I'm good.
Yeah, you're like, wow, that's so
the dream,
great.
right?
Yeah, it's great. So that's been great. Now it's really been more so my focus recently has just been trying to scale a little bit more, trying to put more call blocks in. And I have, but it's also, I'm still seeing that come in. But that's probably the biggest struggle is like when you have those days where you're just feeling low and going back to
you're like, oh,
I need a win. Can I do something? Can I like do this loan? Like, please.
That's funny. So what kind of feedback do you have for me, for the group?
So I like it for the, it keeps me in check. It keeps reminding me of the why, of not just why I do this every day, but why I do certain things for myself or why I have certain goals, whether it be short-term or long-term. Yeah. But then the camaraderie, and then also knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah.
In some of these struggles.
In the same shit, doing like different shit, but in the same boat. Like there's always something. Sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing, but yeah. And
I would say that's been the biggest help, is just having, that camaraderie. But
people going through the same thing at the same place. Yeah. Some a little higher, some a little lower, but all going through the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Nice. But otherwise, as far as feedback goes, no, I mean, I like what it is. It's not incredibly structured, but it is in a way that it's meaningful and we get to the point, and then we're able to open up on other stuff.
Oh man, you missed a good one. We're getting in the weeds a little bit.
Okay. Good. I like the word too. I always think of, the word. So
I always think about the goals and like the impact that I like. And it's funny because I'm asking everybody like a little bit of because pretty much everybody I've talked to so far has been in the coaching stuff that we've been doing since, I don't know, whatever it was, like July or August of last year. And the answers have not been the same, which has been interesting. It's good feedback for me though. It's like everybody's picking up a little bit of a different nugget out of it. It's still kind of the same vein, but it's a little bit of a nugget. And I not only it gives me an idea of where you are, but it also like there's different things that I can touch on. So it's good feedback. I wish I had a pen and a paper. I feel bad like sitting here like.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So that's been the biggest struggle for me, is the writing down. But what I noticed initially, because I'm a digital person, I have the worst handwriting on the planet. I don't do.
Should have been a doctor, yeah.
Should have, except I don't do science. So the biggest struggle for that was initially writing down, reminding myself, having it right there, present. But then I realized how much more I was writing down my to-do list too, and getting more accomplished. Mm-hmm. And
there is something weird about just writing something down.
Yeah. And I literally was like calling bullshit. I was like, no, I've never worked like that. It doesn't remind me just by writing it down. It's never worked like that. But then I realized I was like, it does though, because it's like when I write it down, it's like the memory of writing it down, knowing where it is.
You're taking the time. And if you have that visual recall of it too, you're like, okay, what was that? And like close your eyes, you can think about it like, okay, there you go.
I mean, I can't remember what I did yesterday, but so it's helpful. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to have you. It's awesome having you in there. You know, like sometimes you're not necessarily like the, sunshine and roses, but you're still there and you're like working on it. So I think it's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a couple different questions, but I'm going to ask you a question, or I'm going to give you the floor to ask me any question you want. I mean, it's got to be within bounds, right? But, like if you had a question for me, you asked me one question, what would it be?
From a growth perspective, do you have an idea of when you want to stop?
I mean, yes and no. So I want Rain City to be a top 10 lender. And top 10 I think is going to be a target that continues to grow. Right now it's 1.8 billion a year. If you're 1.8 or above, you're in the top 10 for sure. I mean, there's some conflicting data to support that, but I still, like, inclination wise, I think that's the number. I'm like the quintessential, like, scale of 1 to 10. I'm a 10 out of 10 entrepreneur. Like me, I'm highly unemployable. I can't do anything else. And I learned long ago, I really just like the grind. I like doing the work. And sometimes it really does suck. Like this past, really, like July through January was pretty tough for me. It was a lot of fucking work and stress and whatever. And it was not fun. That was the part, that was probably the only time in my career in Rain City where I was like, this sucks. I was missing meetings. I wasn't doing the things that I really wanted to do. But I do enjoy the grind. I'm at my worst when I've reached my whatever goal that it is. So I'm always setting like way fucking out there stuff because I just want to go to work and have fun. So from a growth perspective, I don't need to be number one. That's certainly not my goal. I don't care to be number one. We're never going to be the lowest price. We're never going to be like the best at everything, but I guarantee you we'll be able to build big relationships for folks. Outside of that, honestly, like all I know is distressed real estate in this real estate business. And so I'll end up bolting on things and doing different things. Maybe it's buying 1,000 houses or whatever. I honestly, from there, I don't know. But from, being a top 10 lender, I'll be super happy with that. And then, I think that'll also afford me opportunities to go and build other things, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
As again, like entrepreneur, I no lack of fucking ideas. If anything, I have to like put the blinders on most days and just like look forward, because I'm the curse of an entrepreneur is I can look at whatever it is and like if it's a problem, I can solve it and I can turn it into gold. That's like my delusion that I live 100% of the time. So yeah, I don't have like anything crazy in mind. I have like the big hairy audacious goal, but how I get there and what I do, I don't know.
Do you think we'll ever get back into auction? Were the roots of how you started?
Yes, Rain City used to be like 75% foreclosure auction and 25% escrow. I remember back in the day, Val, like she's like, how do we close an escrow loan? I don't know how to do this. Usually on a Friday, we just go to the auction, we hand a bunch of cashier's checks out, and we just pound out some loan documents and send them out. Place insurance on the properties and call it good. I think, right now the pendulum is swinging to institutionalization, and the foreclosure auction financing is not institutionalized. And I don't think it ever will be. But if there's anybody that has the capability of going and doing it, it'd probably be me. So maybe.
Yeah.
But it takes a big fucking pile of money to go and do that.
I know.
It is very cash intensive, and it is, So we'll see.
Depends on the area.
I think it'd be super fun to go and do it. Don't get me wrong. Like right now, it's more of a distraction than anything else.
Yeah.
So maybe. Yeah. And you got 2 questions.
Sorry. It was just top of mind more than anything because I've had so many questions about it. But
yeah, it ebbs and flows.
It's definitely a different personality.
What, the auction?
The borrowers that are inquiring about auction or just do auction or whatnot. It's it's
kind of weird, the niches that people fall in. They're like, I only buy stuff at auction. And it's like a contractor that only does ground up construction versus doing flips. They it's not the same thing, not the same product.
Mm-mm.
You know, one is like very methodical, and the other one's very creative.
Yeah.
Fix and flip is like, but I don't know. I don't. This year, no. Next year,
maybe.
It's a maybe.
Okay.
It's a hard maybe.
Yeah.
To the like maybe not side, but you never know. Things can change.
Yeah.
One question I ask everybody, because when I've asked people the question of like, what's your favorite part about Rain City? They say the people, the culture, whatever. What do you think your part of the culture is? Like, what's your impact to the company?
As far as coming to Rain City, I don't know. It's just like, I want to be real. I don't want to be, I'm never going to be the perfect, like, rah, rah, like everything's great.
Me either.
But I think you need that challenge, you need to challenge people including myself, and challenge things that maybe not working the best anymore, or maybe not the best for or how I see my business running or whatnot. So, I think we talked about it before we started this whole thing, is how I'm addicted to change.
Purple hair.
So yeah, right?
Dope shoes.
Yeah. You just got to change it up every now and then. Not get bored and all that kind of stuff. So, and every day's different. Like, we all go through stuff personally too. But I will say it's kind of, I've never one time woken up and said, ugh, I don't want to talk to these people today. So
that's good. That's a win.
I don't know what that says. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
And I want people to call me on my bullshit too. If I am, if I'm the glass half empty today, why? Or is there a reason, No,
so. I always if I ask you a question, I know I'm going to get an honest answer. I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
So you're in a male-dominated business for sure.
I always have been.
It bugs the fuck out of me too, by the way. But you're also getting to be in the top producer category, and at bare minimum, just by you being here, kicking ass and doing well, you're showing everybody else that there's something that can be done. And I mean, look, the rest of Rain City is predominantly women aside from the sales team. My wife taught me this really early on. A woman's intuition is usually worthwhile. Mm-hmm. They could smell bullshit away, way further away than most dudes can. And, I always appreciate, the people, women that can come in and fucking crush it too.
Yeah.
Because honestly, usually they're just fucking better at just about everything. I mean, I'm a dude, I'm just saying that. So,
yeah.
Intuition
is that's what Katie said about that, 1,000%. I consider myself, I've always been told I'm an empath. So it's I can walk into a room and feel, nope, there's something wrong here, or I'm out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, with people too, it's really easy. And I feel actually that's the one thing that I remember being a little surprised and offended by, but also not, is when Ian told me that I need to work on my
your RBF
face.
Your RBF.
Yeah, what it reads. He goes, I can totally tell when you're checking out of a conversation.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, really? But I was there the whole time. He goes, but you're looking through me, or you're looking around or whatnot. I'm like, God, I really thought it, but I just was really bored.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So it's
you also do that at sales retreats and everywhere else.
I know.
You're always squirreling off to the side.
ADD. We're all ADD. I think we decided that. But just being more cognizant of that honestly did help, because I was I don't want to be rude either. Especially to just in social conversations, but there is a time where you just, I know you've felt it, where you're just I want to get out of this conversation.
Oh, dude. I'm the worst at that. I'm because a lot of times it doesn't pertain to me. I'm just off thinking about something else.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. But I feel because of that, what is the word? Ingenuity is just I feel I just sense it so much more, especially in sales. Can't bullshit a bullshitter, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can tell right away, somebody, especially coming into this in a sales role, like Lisa and I will always just look at each other like, we're
Yeah.
okay.
That's
like,
bullshit. Oh, that might be right.
They might be cool, you know. So, I don't know. I mean, it is hard when you're just interviewing people. Like, I get that. But you can tell really quick when they're integrated.
Yeah. Or if they're not. Or when they show up in the pipeline, they're like, fuck yeah, this is great. Or it's not.
Yeah, 100%. But, yeah. So, I'm not, yeah. I have a lot of work on. But
We all
I
do.
try to, yeah.
It's fine.
But
It's gonna be
otherwise,
okay.
I just try to think of, you know, the discipline behind the day usually gives me the most joy. So it's
Nice.
like if I just focus on that in all facets of my life, then I'm typically happy. And every now and then I need a change.
Like some shoes.
Like some new shoes. Or a trip. Or
Yeah, the trip.
hair.
I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go. What's your favorite Rain City moment? Or like the moment that stood out the most?
It's hard. Like, you mean like full on company moment or just like...
It could be anything.
I mean, 1,000% the sales retreats. Like, because that's where, I mean, I hate to say it, but I didn't come to grips. I had the aha moment with the Working Genius.
Mm.
Like, I looked at it and I was like, and then I had the exact same, you know, items that drained me versus like what I could do all day, but wasn't my favorite thing to like, you know, the things that drive me. And I was like, that is so accurate. It's wild. And I was like, and that does. And that's why I was always in jobs that had the bottom, you know, 4 or whatnot, so much more than the other 2. It was still cool. And that's like when I realized how different things were.
Mm-hmm.
And how things that, you know, in smaller groups really translate it to the company. Like when I first met Jeff, he came out to Austin to train us. And I'm like, this guy is wild. Like, there's no way he's like this with everybody in the company. And then literally seeing him come in the same way he is on Pipeline and stuff. And we're going to mute Jeff Day. Like, and like all that kind of stuff. But it's so, but where I'm going with that is it's genuine. And it's literally like people are encouraged to, you know, be who they are and not worry about it. So,
I never, I didn't start making money until I started being myself, like, and owning stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm like a giant proponent of that. Mm-hmm. It's like, I remember I hated getting like dressed in like the shirt, and I always had to go in the office, right? This is like back in the day. I had to like, you know, wear a collared shirt and whatnot. I just said, fuck it, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Started wearing jeans. I put a sweater on with a collar on it, and I just walked around, and I kind of like, they hid me in the corner in an office, like in the back. And eventually they're like, yeah, you need to wear a tie. I was like, no, I never did. Because I was like, the second that I started owning who I was the second that I started to be successful in like all facets of life. And I was like, there's no chance I'm going to go back to be doing anybody else. And this was why, like, you know, me in a hoodie. Yeah. Like, I don't know if that's ever going to change.
Well, and that's awesome, because then you don't have to be, you're not going to burn out because of it. And I remember realizing that it took shocker with change. It took me moving away from everyone I knew and everything I knew, and just going, starting life,
actually go and do it,
on my own to figure that out. So
clean slate. All right, so if you're gonna give advice to a new salesperson coming in, what advice would you give them to help them be successful?
Be diligent and patient.
Okay, what does that mean?
Diligent, and then that you have to keep going, like as far as making your calls, going to these events, building events for yourself, or doing whatever, you know, because everybody has their niches. Like, I'm never going to be the social media mogul that some people do here, but I do thrive, you know, in like teaching, or, you know, being the subject matter person, like doing the panels, as I realize that's where I thrive the most when putting on certain events or being a part of them. So just finding, you know, what the joy is, being diligent about it, just don't stop doing it. And even the stuff that like, I mean, I hated pounding the phones all day, every day, but I realized how much that did. The repetition, the calling these people multiple times, especially those that so they didn't forget about you. It helped. And then people do see like being on panel, like, and being the expert in the room, people have a different value on that, I feel like, overall. Mm-hmm. And so more people come to you, or people will at least refer you, or refer people to you. So I would say from a diligent standpoint, just making sure to keep going. Don't stop it. Don't stop what you're doing, or don't stop because it will fall into place. And then I think Lisa Say always said, you know, keep filling the funnel.
Yeah.
As far as new contacts and meeting new people, and, you know. Well,
she's been doing it long enough to know for sure, because you'll be on Easy Street with, 15 just crusher clients. Mm-hmm. And then, something will happen in the market. 5 of them go away, mm-hmm. or they'll move or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, I just lost a third of my Easy Street. Now I gotta keep going and keep filling it back up. So yeah. And she's been through market cycles.
That's been helpful. And that's what I keep in the back of my head a lot. So just be diligent and patient. This is probably the most patient I had to be. But I also kept saying to myself, what else would I be doing at this point? Nothing. And I mean, who knows? But at the same time, I didn't have, it was the first time in my life where I didn't want to know what was next, because I had, the fulfillment at home that I needed to do too, as far as the run around with the sports and making sure I was present for my kids. So it was that, along with the fulfillment that I need outside the home, just mm-hmm. me personally, that I was getting from this job once it started turning around. That was,
you're yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So it's just something I need. And I've always known that about myself. I wish I wasn't. There's so many nights where I'm I wish I could just be content. Just by being that, leader of my household, and, just want to run around, do stuff with my kids and not worry about, there's just so many days. I really do. I envy sometimes the people that are amazing at it, because I have some friends that are amazing. Well, your wife is actually 1,000%, all the things she manages, in addition, is and she thrives on it, and she's awesome. I would suck at being Katie.
Katie was born to be a mom. She's
but just taking just the caregiver,
yeah.
Just that caregiver nature that I just don't have.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to be comfortable saying that, because I honestly was felt horrible that I didn't.
Gotta own it. Own who you are.
Yeah, but then I was no. I mean, there's a reason the world goes around. We're not made for everything. So.
Well, Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Glad to have you up from good old Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for providing a place for me to be me. So appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, bye.